What is up here today, YouTube? Jigsaw0097 here, bringing you my final E3 video. I know I said I was going to cover all of the conferences, but I just decided that was too much. So I'm going to briefly go over the remaining conferences that I did not cover, which is everything except EA and Bethesda. And if you haven't watched those videos, I'll actually leave a link at the end of this video so you can check those out. Excuse me, drink there. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of cover Microsoft's, Sony's, Ubisoft's, and Square Enix's briefly. And then Nintendo for me, the only thing that I really took out of that I loved was, like I'll just start with Nintendo. I love the fact that they're making a new Smash Bros. I've been excited for that news for a while now. And it's great to see that happening. And then also, the new Pokemon game looks pretty cool too, but I don't know how much I'm going to be into that. Pokemon is kind of past for me in my life. I kind of played it a lot when I was younger, and I'm kind of over it now. So, but for Pokemon fans that still want to play that, it looks fantastic. It looks like the traditional handheld Pokemon game that you would want, only it's going to be on the Switch. And it looks like they're incorporating elements of Pokemon Go in there too, which is the immensely popular game that everyone loves. So that looks awesome. So Nintendo, yeah, I would say Smash Bros, and that's actually one of the best games I saw at E3 here. But I'm going to kind of go over Microsoft right now as well. The games that stood out to me. One of them in their press conferences that really stood out to me, extremely unique, was Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, guys. This is the new game from Software. In case you guys are wondering, they're the people that brought you Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne. Back in the day, they made games like Tenchu Z, very popular developer, and we were eager to see what they would come out with next. And it looks like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is going to be another similar Dark Souls type game. It's just going to have like a samurai, feudal Japan theme to it, which looks fantastic to me, honestly. I couldn't be more excited for that game. And that was one of the ones that really stood out to me. Obviously, we have Crackdown 3 coming out as well. That's going to be a nice Microsoft exclusive that we will get. They did announce that it's not coming until 2019, unfortunately. That's another game that's been delayed for like, it's almost like it was supposed to come out like 2 or 3 years ago, and it just keeps getting delayed. So hopefully it actually comes out this year. And then another big Microsoft exclusive that was announced, guys, was Gears of War 5. They just called it Gears 5. I hope that's not actually the title, but... and then moving on, another huge announcement was the announcement of Nier Automata, which was a PlayStation 4 exclusive, got high praise. It's finally coming to the Xbox, so maybe I'll check that out. That's another big one. A mystery game as well, Halo Infinite. They showed off a trailer for this, and I'm not quite sure what it's going to be. It looks like it could be like a Halo MMO, I'm not sure, and they're hinting that it's actually Halo 6 because it's going to be continuing the story after Halo 5, which is kind of weird, but yeah, we got a Halo game coming. You know, they announced their typical Forza this year's. It's Forza Horizon 4, so if you guys are racing fans, there's that. Sea of Thieves is going to get a DLC. And then a whole bunch of third-party games were announced, like, well, we already knew, but like Metro Exodus was shown, The Division 2 was announced, Fallout 76 was shown, like the trailer, and then, of course, Bethesda got more into that. Just Cause 4 was revealed, and then one of my personal favorites of the show, actually, Dying Light 2. That game looks fantastic to me, and I'm very impressed with how it looks like it's turning out. It almost has like a Dishonored feel to it, which I did not expect. The art style is very reminiscent of a game like that, and it doesn't look like it's going to be too much like the first one other than gameplay, and that's awesome, because the first Dying Light, one of my favorite games of 2015, I think was when it came out. It was one of my favorite games that year, and I was always wondering what they were going to do with a sequel. And those developers are awesome too, Techland. They've been giving out like free DLC. If you guys haven't played Dying Light yet, I would highly recommend it. But then the show ended with the reveal of Cyberpunk 2077. We already knew this game was coming, but this was an actual gameplay reveal, and we got to actually see what they were developing. And this is developed by CD Projekt Red, the people that brought us The Witcher 3, one of the greatest games of all time. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do with that. And then another reveal was Devil May Cry 5. Several reveals in this conference. They showed off Kingdom Hearts 3. Life is Strange is getting a new game. It's called like Captain Spirit or something like that. Also, Microsoft announced that they are going to be acquiring several developers. One of them was actually Ninja Theory, which is kind of a huge deal. And then the developer, I can't remember what they're called, but they're developing the game We Happy Few, which actually looks like We Happy Few is going to be getting like a full-fledged release finally. Like, if you guys remember when it was early access, it was actually just kind of like a poor man's survival game, and nobody really liked it. It looks like they've taken it completely back to the drawing board, and it's going to be something reminiscent of like a BioShock, which has me very intrigued. Tales of Vesperia is getting a remaster. I never really played that, but that's cool. A lot of people wanted a Skate. I think it's Skate 4 is what they wanted, but Microsoft revealed a game called Session, which is a skate game, so we'll have to see what that is. The Tomb Raider was shown off a little bit. They get more into that in the Square Enix press conference. A nice little MMO that Microsoft's been working on for a while was shown off again. Black Desert, very intriguing. I don't know if I can get into another MMO, but still intriguing. Overall, I would give Microsoft's press conference a 9 out of 10, guys. I thought it was actually quite fantastic. Very surprising. I didn't think they were going to show off that many things, and I was pleasantly surprised with how well it was. I mean, obviously I'm an Xbox gamer. I'm a little biased there, but at the same time, you know, like, they don't always put on a good show. Like, last year's was decent, but all they talked about was the One X, which we knew was coming. And then in the past, you obviously know they used to just talk about Kinect and all that garbage. So it's good to see Microsoft is getting back on track. They're focusing on the games. They're getting back to the gamers. And now that they have like the One X out there with the powerful console that they needed, because in my opinion the Xbox One was outdated the moment it was released, it's finally nice to see them catching up and, you know, responding to the gamers, listening. Phil Spencer, in my opinion, he's completely turned the brand around, and it's been absolutely fantastic to see. So moving on to the Ubisoft press conference is the one I'm going to do next. They opened up just talking about Just Dance. Their big one was Beyond Good and Evil 2. They showed off another cinematic trailer. We still haven't seen any gameplay for that game, so I'm not sure what it's going to be. They showed off more Rainbow Six Siege, another Trials game called Trials Rising. They went over a lot of the Division 2, so they showed off a lot of the gameplay, and really the Division 2 just looks like the Division 1. It doesn't look that much improved. So if you like the Division 1, you're probably going to just love this game. They went over another Mario Rabbids DLC, or another Mario Rabbids thing. This is a DLC that includes Donkey Kong. They showed off their pirate game to compete with Microsoft's Sea of Thieves called Skull and Bones, and honestly it won't be hard to compete with Sea of Thieves because it has no content at this point. It showed off Transference as well. This was an interesting one. It looked like Elijah Wood was helming a film game. If you guys have played like Late Shift, they have a game called Late Shift on the Xbox, which is basically a pick-your-own-adventure movie. That's kind of what Transference looks like it could be. It's blending film with game again, which is always interesting. They showed off Starlink, which was a toy game, and then I guess Star Fox is going to be making a comeback, so Ubisoft is doing another Nintendo collaboration there. They showed off that For Honor is going to be free on Origin. Not Origin, sorry. Whatever Ubisoft's thing is. I think it's Ubisoft Club or something like that. Origin is EA. I always get those mixed up, but basically they're offering that for free, and they're coming out with more DLC. It's like Chinese themed. They showed off the Crew 2, and then the big one for me was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which looks fantastic. It looks like it's just going to build off of what Origins did, and in my opinion, Origins is probably the best thing to have happened to Assassin's Creed since like Assassin's Creed 2. So it's great to see that. I really like the way that Ubisoft has kind of just rebranded Assassin's Creed and pulled it out of the mediocrity that it was becoming. You know, like every year it was starting to get more and more generic with games like Unity, and then especially with Syndicate. So it's great to see that they're going back in time again, and they're showing off that they can pull off like an RPG Witcher Assassin's Creed hybrid, and this one's going to be centered in ancient Greece, which will be cool. And it doesn't look like you're an assassin in this game, guys. It looks like you might be just like a Roman centurion or something like that. So yeah, guys, overall I'm going to give the Ubisoft press conference a 6 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good, but there was a lot of mundane aspects in there for me personally, like games like Trials and Just Dance, you know. Ubisoft is similar to EA when it comes to press conferences, where they just have to get through a lot of their yearly franchises, and that can get irritating, especially in a press conference like E3. But I mean, Assassin's Creed definitely bumps it up a bunch. So moving on to Square Enix, guys, they showed off Tomb Raider right from the beginning. They showed off some lot of detail, actually. That game's coming out later this year, but they showed off pretty much like a whole stealth section and how you can like cover yourself in mud, and the heavy focus on stealth in this game over the other games even. And that looks awesome. Tomb Raider will be a fantastic game. They went over some Final Fantasy Online DLC, if you're a fan of that. They showed that Final Fantasy and Monster Hunter are actually going to be combining, so there's going to be some crossover there. And then that Life is Strange DLC or whatever it is, Captain Spirit, they went over that. They said it's completely free, which is awesome. They're not going to charge you for it at all, so you can just play it. And then they showed off a new Dragon Quest game. They showed off a game called Babylon's Fall. This is kind of just really quick trailers they were showing off, so we didn't get much there. They went over the Xbox Nier Automata version, Octopath Traveler, which I heard is a big RPG for the Switch that a lot of people are hyped for. Just Cause 4 they went over again, The Quiet Man, and then they ended this one with Kingdom Hearts 3. This was a really quick conference, guys. It was only like 20 or 30 minutes, and I give this one like a 5 out of 10 just because Kingdom Hearts 3 and Tomb Raider were the only games that really stood out for me, personally. So, and then to end it all, I'll just go over Sony's conference real quick, and then I will get into my top 5 games of E3 and what I thought overall, like what games and things that I thought were the best. And so Sony was a weird press conference because in between many of the games there was like these weird concerts. So the whole show started out with like banjo music, and it lasted quite a while. And then it went into The Last of Us, which looked fine. I've never been a fan of The Last of Us. If you're into that, that's completely fine. It looked pretty much like Tomb Raider. The one thing that I will say about The Last of Us that always impresses me is the attention to detail and how unsettlingly realistic it can look at times. I don't think I've seen it to that level in a game, and The Last of Us definitely gets that, but they showed off some gameplay with Ellie and just stealth sections and stuff like that, so looking good, you know. They're on track to release that. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, they went over some of that stuff. They said that there's going to be maps for Black Ops 3 and 4. I'm pretty much over Call of Duty at this point, so if you're still into that, that's completely fine. Just know Black Ops 4 is coming, and it's going to probably be like an Overwatch game, so if you're into that, you're going to love it. And then they had this really weird pause. This was one of the things that dragged it down for me. They had this weird panel where they just started discussing all the games. It was like the audience had to move to the next auditorium to watch the rest of the press conference, and so they just kind of talked about things, and that was really weird. And during that time they showed off a bunch of trailers. They showed off a new Tetris game, they showed off Days Gone, a game called Twin Mirror, a game called Ghost Giant, and then a game called Beat Saber. These were very quick, so there's really, I don't know what they are, but they kind of just showed that to pass the time. And then they showed some Destiny 2 stuff, the Forsaken DLC that we all know is coming. Cade 6 is going to die. Everyone's freaking out about that, but they showed that off. And then they finally got back into it, and again they went into one of these weird transitions where a guy was playing a flute. But then they went into one of my highlights of this show, certainly, which was Ghost of Tsushima. I hope I'm saying that. Tsushima. I think that's how you say it. Tsushima. And this game looks absolutely fantastic, guys. This is an open world samurai game. And I've actually been saying it for years. I wish Assassin's Creed would go to feudal Japan. And we haven't been able to get that yet. So this game looks like it could definitely fill that void. I've also been wanting a new game like this because, you know, we haven't been getting Tenchu games or anything like that for years. Way of the Samurai was a huge game that I used to love back in the day. But we just haven't been getting many Asian games like that, many like Japanese themed games, and I was really missing that. And this game looks just fantastic. It almost makes me want to buy a PlayStation, guys. This game and Spider-Man, it's really hard to not buy a PlayStation at this point. Um, and then they showed off another game called Control. And then they went into the Resident Evil 2 remake, which is another game that looks absolutely fantastic, guys. I thought that they were kind of just like shelving this, similar to how Square Enix is kind of not talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake anymore. I didn't think Resident Evil 2 would be shown off, and especially not in the state it was in. It looks like it's a mix of like Resident Evil 4 gameplay and like Resident Evil 7 aesthetics, so it looks fantastic. Resident Evil, you know, it's back. It's better than ever. These games are awesome. Then they showed off a game called Trover Saves the Universe. They went over some Kingdom Hearts 3. They showed off the pirates, like Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. They showed off Death Stranding. Death Stranding is another game that looks fantastic on the PlayStation. I have no clue what it's going to be, but it still has me very intrigued with what it could be, and it's Hideo Kojima, so we know it's going to be good. Then they showed off Neo 2 and Spider-Man is how they ended it. Spider-Man got an extended gameplay. It looks very Arkham Asylum. And the whole gameplay thing that they showed was like in a prison. Looked really great. I really want to play that game. So yeah, that's kind of the entirety of E3, guys. I just was gonna bring you individual videos, but I decided I'll just bring you it all in this final video, and so I can get to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts are, I think that overall this was one of the better E3s this year because they announced a lot of games, lots of surprises, lots of announcements. Not as many as I thought. You know, I thought they'd be talking about like Red Dead. I really thought that Borderlands 3 would be a thing, and it didn't happen. But you know, they showed off like Cyberpunk, and they showed off Resident Evil 2, like surprises. You know, Kingdom Hearts 3 got a release date, January 2019. So there was still a lot of stuff that I just loved about it. So I'm just going to go over my top 5 games. At number 5, I give it to Kingdom Hearts 3. This is a game that I've been wanting since 2006 when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. I remember that I was in like high school when that game came out, so it's been that long since that game, and it's just insane that it's taken this long, but you know, we're finally going to get it, and we'll have to see how much of an impact it still has on our lives, if that magic of Kingdom Hearts is still there. And then at number 4, I give it to Resident Evil 2 because it was a huge surprise for me. I'm a giant Resident Evil fan. It's one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time, and it's going to be fantastic to play Resident Evil 2 again, RE4 style, with Leon Kennedy, you know, back with Leon Kennedy. At number 3, I'm going to give it to Metro Exodus. This game looked amazing to me, guys. An open world Metro game. Metro games are already amazing, but now that they're going to put it in the open world and have it be, I don't know what it's going to be, it might have some really like Fallout survival elements. That will be fantastic, so I can't wait for that game. I think that game is going to be better than Fallout 76 by far. And another game that will be probably better than Fallout 76 is Dying Light 2. That's my number 2 game, guys. I cannot stress to you how extremely excited I am for that game. I'll probably pre-order it. That's how much I have faith that it's going to be good, because Dying Light 1 was like a 9 out of 10, like nearly flawless game for me. And then to top it off, Cyberpunk 2077 is my most anticipated game, guys. They didn't really give an announce date for that, but that's a game that's in the works that I cannot wait to see. And I'm absolutely excited to see what they do with it. I feel like it's going to be the next giant RPG before we get, obviously, Elder Scrolls 6, which I'll go into my hype. Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield are my 2 most hyped releases that they announced, because they're so far off at this point. We don't know when they're coming out, but the fact that Bethesda said they're coming is just very reassuring, and it's very awesome that we're going to be able to get those games within the next 5 years, I would say. And Elder Scrolls 6 especially, guys, that game is going to be just mind-blowing. So those are my hype games, and then I did feel like doing some honorable mentions because I couldn't get everything on there, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of them, Ghost of Tsushima is one of them, Rage 2 is one of them, and then of course Spider-Man is another one. The only reason I put Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man in there is because they're for PlayStation only, so me personally, I won't be able to play them unless I buy a PlayStation at this point, so they still look fantastic though, and I can't wait to at least see how they play, you know, if I watch like a live stream or something, just to see what kind of the games they are. But yeah, guys, that is my overall thoughts about this whole press conference. And real quick, just so you guys know, I'm going to give Sony a 7 out of 10. I think that it was really solid. They're probably like the second best press conference in the whole E3. Other than the weird music and out of place panel, it was pretty much flawless. Like, they showed off all they needed to show. And so, yeah, guys, that's pretty much my E3 video. I'll give an overall rating for E3. I think this was one of the better E3s during this year, and I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10 overall, guys, for E3 this year. It was a great year for gaming. Lots of announcements, lots to come. I hope you guys all have your consoles and your PCs ready, because there's going to be lots of games coming in the near future, and it's going to be exciting to see. But anyway, guys, that is the video. What did you guys think about E3 this year? Comment down below. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I make gaming videos like this occasionally, but I also make football videos and movie reviews and stuff like that. This kind of is a jack of all trades channel in a couple different categories, and you guys can find something you like on there for sure. And for the returning subscribers, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. And this has been Jigsaw0097 here. Like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all later. Bye, guys.
May your soul